Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Today, I'm going to be talking to Mike Goldstein. Now, Mike and I have done a lot of work together in the past because I've actually referred customers, clients to him. So I know his stuff works, which is why I had him back on the show. He is a search engine optimization expert, specifically in the trades space. He's written a book on kitchen remodeling, which also extends over into the cabinetry world. So, yeah, this is a more residential based type of topic, but if you're in the commercial, if you're doing commercial TIs, you'll still get a lot from this. Today, we're going to be talking about how to make search engine optimization work for remodelers, cabinet makers, mill workers, etc. So I think you're going to get a lot from it because what Mike talks about applies to all sorts of websites. And I want to dig into how us as business owners can use our time best when we're trying to tackle this question. So let's see how that goes and let's hear what Mike has to say. It's Mr. Mike Goldstein back again.
Well, thanks, Tom. I'm so excited to be back here. I never get tired of talk to you and talk to the cabinet makers across North America.
Yeah, you're my go-to guy for search engine optimization and websites and things like that for the cabinetry, architecture, millwork, furniture making industry. If that means anything, that you're my go-to guy for that.
I appreciate that. I mean, there's no accounting for taste, but
Yeah. Wait, for people listening, the reason that I keep asking you back on the show is because over the years, you and I have referred business back and forth. And
yeah,
go figure, the people I refer you to get results. And so I go to myself because I'm really smart like that. I'm like, I should get Mike back on the show to talk about that again.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, but perhaps people haven't heard of you before, Mike, believe it or not. So let me ask this question. Mr. Mike Goldstein, who the heck are you? And how is it you come to be speaking to all these forward facing cabinet makers, architectural mill workers, and furniture makers all over the world?
Oh, thanks for that awesome intro there. So basically, what I am is I run a company called Kitchen Remodeling SEO. I've been in the SEO industry, the search engine optimization industry, since the infancy. As a matter of fact, I like to tell people I've been doing internet marketing before Google was. And I say that because
Yeah.
I started this company back in 1999. Google came in 2000. And what we do is we work exclusively with cabinet and kitchen companies, helping them expand their business, generate more exclusive leads,
Mm,
increase their brand awareness by getting their digital marketing right.
I love it. That's a nice short answer. Sounds like you've done this before.
I might have said that once or twice.
You might have said that once or twice. It's interesting. I think that the not only is the kitchen cabinet industry generally overlooked, but the remodeling industry is generally
Yeah,
overlooked. And serving that industry, it's people out there like these are the jobs that are happening in your neighborhood right now, and people don't
right.
see that. So it's interesting that you and I came to the same place to add value to the same market, and we find there's so much to add, and such a willing audience that wants to make these changes. It's excellent. Well, let's jump into it. Today we're going to be talking about how to make SEO work for cabinetry, millwork, remodelers, because that's the title of your book. SEO, of course, standing for search engine optimization. So what?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
what do you? Is that your book?
Yeah.
Hold it up. Hold it up closer. Hold it up closer. Let's
Yeah.
see.
You know what? Oh, give me a moment here.
That's
I
because
think
you blurred your
I've been in a
background.
blur.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you're in a safe house somewhere. No, Kitchen Remodeler's Guide to Local SEO and Google Maps. Love it.
Yes.
And that's where do you get that book if somebody wants it?
So you can get that book on Amazon.com. You can get that book by reaching out to us. We always send the book out free to anybody who wants it,
Oh.
just because I think that it adds so much value to people.
Mm.
And when you understand the roadmap, you understand what you need to do to start generating leads, to start generating brand awareness. It just makes things so much better. That's one of the reasons I speak at the KBIS trade show, and we talk to people all the time about how can you leverage your Google business profile, how can you leverage your organic rankings, and I think it's a service that I like to provide to the community overall.
You know what? My impatient voice just flared up for a second there, and then I had to quiet it, and now I'm going to do it anyway. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
why the heck do I need to pay for SEO when I can just pay for paid ads and jump right to the top?
That's a great question. And one of the things that I like to compare paid ads and SEO to is, do you want to own a house or do you want to rent a house? The
Oh,
thing with paid ads is you can turn the faucet on and you can get leads. You can turn it off if it gets too hot for you, and they'll stop. But here's the deal: when you do turn that faucet off, it stops totally, it disappears. There's no, and let's talk about cabinetry terms and wood terms and lumber and timber. There's no sustainability,
hmm.
right? When you're doing SEO, it's an organic, sustainable method of marketing. You're positioning yourself as the most well-known kitchen remodeler, cabinet builder, millwork provider in the area, in your area.
Yeah.
And you continue to pay to generate. However, there are things that you need to do consistently, because if you stop creating content, if you stop building links, if you stop kind of networking with it within the digital realm, somebody else may do it more so than you. They can leapfrog over you. But ultimately, if all you do is paid ads, it's a guarantee that the minute you stop paying, you disappear from the planet.
Yeah. The other voice in my head, the impatient voice that I think I share with a bunch of other people, is like, this sounds like a lot of work. And I'm already busy renovating kitchens and doing estimates and bids and trying to volunteer for my kids' game and getting home in time for my, it's a lot of work. So, the question is, how do you get started on this? Because let me go back. I used to be able to change the oil in my own car.
Yep.
Now I open up the hood. I know how to do that. But you look in there, and all
Yep.
I can really do is add windshield wiper fluid,
Yeah.
because everything, they've just made it all so complicated. You just can't get there. I mean, obviously, some people are
Right.
laughing. They're like, Rubino, I can do that. But if you understand what I mean, there's specialists for everything,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
And so now there's specialists for getting your website ranking and
Yeah.
working. So ranking and working so that
Right.
you get more of the right kind of leads coming to you. Am I off base or?
No, you're 100% right. And it's kind of like, could are there general contractors out there that can be an electrician today, can be a plumber tomorrow, they can be a flooring guy the next day, they can build a cabinet the day after? Sure. But they're probably not going to do great work. They're gonna do, it's gonna look okay, because they're not an expert in anything. When you start paying attention to one area, I think that you're able to develop an expertise. When you start listening to all the things that Google talks about on a daily basis, for example, just like with when you're building a cabin, right? And you listen to all the different things the manufacturers, the lumber yards are coming out with the newest tool that's coming out. I don't, one of the things my dad said to me when I was very young is, he
Mm.
said, Michael, when you touch tools, bad things happen. You love to hang out with people who know how to touch tools, right? And that's what I do. I hang out with those guys who they know how to swing the hammer and turn that wrench. If I do it, well, I'm gonna, if I try and fix my sink, we're gonna need a plumber, right, to fix my
Yeah.
screw.
Yeah.
So that part of it is that, but at the other part, Dom, is that it's not rocket science. It's You just need to really think about what is it that your audience is asking you, and then you've got to answer that. And that's what SEO is. Be relevant.
Yeah. So I don't know that it's not rocket science, Mike, because I know the general shape of a rocket, but I don't know the
Yeah.
fuel to put inside. I don't know the weight. I don't know, so not to take away from what you're saying, but I
Yeah.
guess my point in this whole thing is if somebody out there listening thinks, I think we're doing it okay, go get an expert. And you don't have to use Mike. No offense, Mike, but use
No, so
somebody who knows what the heck they're talking about. It's
sure.
it's the same as if you called your cabinet maker and said, "Well, you're good with tools. Come be my plumber." Yeah, he's going to do a fine job, but it's probably not the right job. No offense to either the cabinet maker or the plumber, but you know what I mean? Like there's so many
Yeah.
specialties now. There's so many nuances, and Google changes their rules all the time. All the time. Have they changed their rules lately?
Yeah.
I'm sure the answer is
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Oh, they did?
Absolutely.
Oh gosh,
Yeah. Well,
what's the
on
new rule change?
December 14th of 2022, Google added 15 pages to the quality rating guidelines. Think about that. 15 pages of
To the
extra
quality.
guidelines that Google wants you to now follow.
Well, I
It's
guess
but
How can you help them? I mean, if Google gets as
Sure.
many false requests as I get spam phone calls from you know where,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they
Yep.
get more, they have to come up
Oh
with
yeah.
rules to combat that. And so that's, I guess,
Of course.
well, I didn't know there was pages to begin with, and then you said there's 15 more. So now I'm even worse off to be an advisor on that.
It's about 170 some odd pages right now is the book, or
So
the PDF, I should say.
when we talk, sorry, Mike, when we talk about the it's not called a formula. What's it called? Um,
The algorithm.
when we talk about the algorithm, those 57 pages of rules is what makes the algorithm for why your site shows up or doesn't.
It's part of it.
Oh my God.
Google, like any major corporation, like Coca-Cola, like McDonald's, they're not gonna tell you everything they're doing. They're
Mm,
gonna keep the secret sauce, but they give you enough that you kind of have to read the rules and you have to read in between the lines. You
mm-hmm.
got to kind of figure out what it is that they're doing. Ultimately, what Google wants to do though is they want to be the most relevant source on planet Earth for whatever the question is that's being asked. So how do they do that? They want to make sure that they're promoting whatever website they believe is the most relevant answer to whatever question may be asked by the searcher.
Right. Actually, that's an important point for us to remember. Google wants to be best friends with the person doing the search, not the result
Yeah,
that comes up. So if
yeah,
whatever I type, whatever crazy string of words I type, they want to come up with a result immediately.
exactly.
So they can,
It's kind of similar to this new AI technology, this Chat GPT that everybody's talking about,
yeah.
right? And you ask a question and it goes through these millions of calculations in about a second and spits out an answer. And what does it want to do? It wants to try and answer what it is that you're asking because it wants you to come back and ask it another question, another question. And Google's a business. Listen, how do they make money? They sell advertising. They sell
Yeah.
Google ads. They sell local service ads. They sell call only ads. They sell all this stuff. And they can't sell those if people don't trust it. So Google needs to be trusted. And that's why it's so important that Google trusts you. As a matter of fact,
Mm,
there's a there's a algorithm, but it's something that Google has put together. It's an acronym. It's called EAT. EAT.
yeah.
Nothing to All right. What it stands for is expertise, experience, authority, and trust. Incidentally, those 15 new pages that came out were all about experience. Experience was even part of this calculation until just recently. So what Google wants to do is they're actually using this to combat AI because they don't want you to just put out a bunch of fluff content, but they want you to be able to demonstrate that you have an expertise in a particular area that someone is looking for information. They want to know that other people deem that you're trustworthy with that. But most importantly, they're looking for you to demonstrate you actually have experience in what you're talking about.
So
And
I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike,
sorry,
but does that mean I have to say, hey, my name's Dominic Rubino. I've been a kitchen renovator since 2005. I just pick a number. Is that what they want? Is that what Google looks at and goes, oh, 2005, that's a long time ago? Or is it a whole
no,
series of little data points they look at?
it's a series of data points, and they want to connect all the different places that you have as a user have generated information or data and put it on the web, whether that's you've put information in a social profile, whether you've written a blog article, whether you've been interviewed on a podcast like this, whether you've done YouTube shorts. And so all these different places that you put out content, Google knows who the author is, and or at least they want to know who the author is so they can connect all that together. But they're really looking for right now is experience.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is this. Let's say, for example, you are an accountant who does tax preparation. All right. And someone asks you, hey, would you mind reviewing TurboTax or H&R Block or whatever the latest tax software is? You
Mm-hmm.
know more about taxes than 99% of the general public. You're an accountant. All right. And you have all the expertise and you can write about it. But if you've never used the software, if you've never used TurboTax, you can't demonstrate any firsthand experience. That's what AI can do. AI has all the expertise because it takes these databases and it spews out a bunch of text. But what AI can't do is talk about how the actual personal human experience of using TurboTax.
And
One
that's
time,
what Google
when
wants to prioritize is the human experience.
exactly.
Again, I forgot you'd said they're trying to go against this Chat GPT and AI as well.
Yeah.
I thought they were kind of behind it, but that's fake to them.
They're behind it in that you can use automation to make life easier. You can use AI to fact check. But the problem is when everyone's using the same system to generate content, the content is basically all the same.
It gets watered down. Yeah.
So when you start adding in your experience, another example is think about like if a cardiologist knows a heck of a lot more about how to prevent heart attacks than the average person. The average person can write about, yeah, I know I'm supposed to take a daily aspirin, and I know I need my glass of red wine.
Sure.
And I'm sure you're drinking that red wine, by the way, because it's good for your heart, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say because I'm Italian, and I was going to be offended, but you're right, so I'm fine. Yeah.
No, but needless to say, a cardiologist can then start talking about why you're drinking the red wine, and what they've seen by when people take that daily aspirin versus they skip a day. Little things like that, where you can show, hey, I'm not just regurgitating some encyclopedia. I'm an actual person who knows about this, who's dealt with this, who's experienced it, and I want to share my experiences with the world.
Right, and I've posted about it, 3 times a week for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
So let me, can I draw you a picture and then tell me if I got it wrong and fix it? Because I'm totally open to being wrong, as people who listen to the show know. And let's use a kitchen remodeler, even though there's lots of trades that listen to this, and, but use kitchen remodel as an example. So let's say I'm a Seattle kitchen remodeler. And then let's say there's a Boston kitchen remodeler, and let's say there's a Toronto kitchen remodeler. And because 1,000 monkeys at a typewriter is over 1,000 years are going to say the same things, they all post the same thing, the same way, the same days. Does that mean that if the guy in Seattle posts just a little bit more, he's going to get the results for people searching in Boston and Toronto? Or does Google also go, well, the most relevant person is now split between these three, but the most relevant closest person is, say, Toronto, as an example?
So there are two different areas of the Google search that we want to think about. There's the map area, and then there's the organic listings. So the map area is going to have a lot more to do with your proximity. So let's take that out of the equation for now. Let's just talk about the actual organic listings. The person in Boston may or may not be the most relevant resource, because if the person in Toronto starts talking about, one thing that people might want to think about is as you go around North America, different cabinets are trending in different areas. For example, in the North End in Boston, when I walk down Hanover Street, and all of a sudden, we're talking about Hanover Street, the North End, a neighborhood in Boston. We're talking, I know.
So that's the relevance. So whether I'm a kitchen renovator, an electrician, a roofer, cabinet maker, plumber, remodeler, doesn't matter. They're looking for those little tips hints inside there that he just mentioned a local street. He just mentioned a local fair or event.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, if you start adding in other pieces to the equation, like you make reference and you link to a local venue, or you geotag an image, maybe you get other people linking to you from those areas. But at the same time, you have to demonstrate expertise. It's not all about experience. It's, you do have to still show that you know as much as the guy in Seattle does, that you know as much as the guy in Toronto does. And the other part of it is, how well are you trusted? What is how much authority do you have? So when you write a piece of content on your website and you also have a Google business profile, that Google business profile, let's say it's got 47 5-star reviews, versus the guy right down the street who's got 2 reviews. Well, the guy with 47 is obviously more trusted, so Google's going to give that a little more priority. More importantly, though, the average consumer, because this is all we care about. We don't really care about what this Google computer does. We care about we care about human beings, and that's what Google cares about too.
Yeah, is
what's going to convert, what's going to make sales, what's going to generate profit for your business. Is you need to be trusted. So again, we look at all these factors. The content is a huge factor. They say content is king, but there are trust factors that are so important, like those, Google reviews. Like, do you have Better Business Bureau complaint? If you think Google's not, and the average person isn't going, isn't searching for your name and putting the word review in there, they want to know that stuff. So I think it's kind of a combination of what's best for Google versus what's best for humans. And Google, trust me, they care about what's best for humans.
Because humans are their customers. Yeah, humans are their customers. Okay, so I'm going to go back into business owner mode in a second. And at some point, I stopped listening. And I'm not being offensive to you, right? You know why I stopped listening? Because I'm good at remodeling homes. I'm good at roofing. I've got to go do some load balancing on a new HVAC system. Like I got to get back to work. And so, but if I agree that I need to have better marketing so that I can go up market, or so that I, you know what I mean, like get larger job sizes, or stop driving across the whole city doing jobs everywhere, and instead focus on jobs within X distance from my office, shop, or home, then how do I do that? And I guess at the end of the day, you got to go find a specialist, a guy like you, or a guy like somebody else, or a gal like somebody else who does this, because I'm already busy. I'm running a business. It's right in the word, busy and business. They're right together. Yes. So how much time does this goes to my question. How much time does a business owner have to put in to make this work? And I guess you can only answer for you because you're an expert at this. But if I was the renovator, because that's the example we're using, how much time would I need to put into this to make this work? And how much time would you put in?
It depends on how big your market is. And I hate to use this answer, but it depends. Really is the answer. Typically, though, I mean, you're looking at, you got to put together probably 15, 20 hours worth of work every month in terms of content development, in terms of cultivating links, in terms of
working with
your customers, generating reviews.
Sorry, the owner has to do that?
Well, either the owner does, or the owner has to have somebody on staff.
Yeah, because I can tell you right now, there's no way any decent sized growing business owner can afford 15 hours. There's no way. Not. They're already trying to get home to see their kids. The last thing they want to do is, hey, honey, sorry, I can't come home. I'm doing search engine optimization. That's like, I don't think so.
You can divvy it up. You can tell your account managers, hey, listen, I want you to talk to people at the end of the job and get a review. Take care of your reviews with this person. You can have your marketing manager, hopefully they know how to write well, they can do some of this content. But ultimately, I think what's best is when you work with an agency who specializes in your niche, and they understand, or at least work with somebody who understands what it is that you're doing, what service you provide, and let them do it. What I always say is do what you do best, and then let the people who do
what they do best. Yeah.
Kind of going back to like what my dad said to me when I was young, Michael, when you touch tools, bad things happen. What does that mean? You know what? When the sink is clogged up and things are spewing out left and right, Michael does not grab a wrench. Michael grabs the phone and he calls the plumber.
I tell you, this is one of my favorite sayings, and my wife laughs at it every time. I can fix anything. All I need is a hammer and a credit card. Only one of those tools is going to work.
Can I steal that line?
Oh, absolutely. And everybody out there's laughing at me anyways. And the hard part is I started doing like small renovations. Like I'm a handy guy, but I also got to the point, and actually you'll never believe who reminded me of this. I had to have my stamped concrete refinished. And so I had a handyman at our house doing some work because I was busy, right? I was running another company. I barely had time to do things. And in that time, I wanted to take my kids to swim lessons and soccer, just normal stuff, right? So I go to the handyman, hey, can you reseal my stamped concrete? Because you're a handyman. He's like, yeah, no, I don't do that. You got to call a concrete guy. And I'm like, no, but you're here already. He goes, yeah, I only do the stuff I know. And this was a guy telling me, no. You go get an expert in that, even though, he can do it. He's painting the floor, right? He's like, yeah, I don't do that. And he had to remind me that, stick to your lanes, stick to what you know.
Yeah. No, I live by that. What do I have to say? So
yeah, well, apparently when Mike touches tools, bad things.
Attest to, by the way.
As what? Sorry?
I said, as American Express will attest to.
Yeah. Mike buys a lot of trade services. Hey, let's do a couple stories, because I like stories wherever we can that bring because a lot of this can sound theoretical. Like I got to have a map listing and I have to have
Right.
authority. What'd you say? EAT, expertise, authority, and
Yeah.
trust. But I think that's kind of all your stuff. If I'm going to hire you
Right.
or
Sure.
somebody like you, respectfully, Mike, if you don't mind, right? If I'm going to
No,
hire you or somebody like you, what does it look like when it works? Do you have any stories of it worked?
yeah, absolutely. So let me give you an example. Is so we work with a company out in Las Vegas, and when they started with us, they had a 2-page website on GoDaddy, which, by the way, very slow server, no content. They couldn't be found.
Mm,
All of a sudden, we started working with them, and we were creating content. We were doing all the things that we talk about that we do. And as people started to search for things like custom cabinets in Las Vegas, over the course of a couple months, they're on the very top of page two, probably will be on page one next month. When
mm.
people are looking for cabinet refacing Las Vegas, they're there. And what were they able to do? They were able to sell a project for $26,000 last week alone that I'm aware of. I don't know every project my guys do, but I know that this one project they went into this 1990s house, and I mean they basically had to they gutted the kitchen, they had to put in a
Yeah.
new island. I mean, this was just cabinets. I'm not talking. There was no countertops, there was no backsplash, none of that. Um, that's what doing this right meant for them. And what it really meant for them is that they could then take some of the profit, because rule of thumb, you take 10% of your revenue, put it back into marketing, and then they started running Google ads and Facebook ads, because
Mm.
now we can actually be omnipresent. And we're not just showing up on the maps, but now when we can retarget people on Facebook, on Instagram, when people are looking for us, we have the budget to come up. And now all of a sudden, these guys are getting 10, 15 leads every single week.
Ah, okay. So first of all, you said a couple things that are freaking people out. Okay.
Yep.
For people who are freaked out by Mike saying you got to spend 10% of your budget on marketing, go back and listen to episode 185, the Steve Moon podcast. Steve's a brilliant local marketer, except you look at him and you think he's an HVAC guy, HVAC guy, right? So, and he'll talk about the numbers he puts in. But I want to go back to your first number there. You said they got up to page 2. So where were they when they started?
They were non-existent. They were not in the top 100 listings. So they
Oh
weren't in the
gosh, so
top
they
10.
didn't even matter on Google. They
They,
didn't even matter.
they were not, to say the map, they weren't on the map. They weren't.
They weren't on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
No.
then in I don't know if you're able to share this, but how long did it take them to get to page 2? Which, by the way, page 2 is not great either, but it still brought them
No.
results.
You gotta move.
No, it's amazing that happened, because I've got other people going, look, we've
Yeah.
been down here. You can never find us. Nothing we do helps us get found. We wrote an article, we published, we got an award in our local Chamber of Commerce magazine.
Yeah.
We didn't even move. But you're talking about it like it's nothing. Like, oh yeah, they weren't existent, and then we got them on page 2, and they'll be on page 1 soon. But you said it like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. I don't understand at all.
It's going, and the reason I'm confident it's going to happen is because we've seen the trend, we've seen the
The
progression.
metrics. I noticed you were looking
And
at your computer, so you must have been looking at
yeah, yes,
numbers.
we were
Yeah.
we were looking at some trends and some rankings just to kind of see. And we started with these guys the second week of January. So
Jan,
and
Feb,
that's
March, April, May. So that's 5 months.
yeah,
as
yeah,
of our recording.
yeah.
So from
And it's
not existing to page 2,
right.
and then you're confident that the strategy you've helped them put in place gets them to page 1.
Oh, without a doubt. The thing that you got to remember though is that search engine optimization takes time. That's the biggest difference between buying your way in and strategizing your way in. And this is one of the other things I like to tell people is you're in an industry where you sometimes compete, especially cabinet builders and cabinet makers. You're competing with those. You're competing with Home Depot. I'm sorry to say, but you are competing with IKEA. They may have not great quality, but you're competing with them. And these guys have endless, and I mean endless budgets.
Yeah, true.
Right?
True. And endless MBAs. Yeah.
Than you're going to spend in a decade. Right. So ads are not always the way to go. And listen, our company, we manage Google ads, we manage Facebook ads. But at the end of the day, you can't compete on budget. What you can compete on is strategy.
Huh.
And and you can compete on proximity and being local to the market. And so when you utilize these tools, yes, it's going to take a little longer, but it is organic, it's sustainable. As you get yourself up there, it's a whole lot harder to knock someone off the top than it is to get to the top. So that's kind of the key.
It's harder to
Is
knock someone off the top than it is to get to the top.
absolutely.
Knock somebody off the top.
Meaning that,
yeah. Because we all want
yeah,
instant results. But once somebody's
yeah,
gotten to the top, they've already done the hard work to get there. And I guess you're saying
yeah,
Google recognizes their, let me go back, their expertise, their authority, their trust, right? So they've already built that. So Google's like, cool your jets. That guy's already proven it. Now it's up to you to prove.
exactly. You got to show that you're better than them now. Now, where I will tell you that where a lot of people fall down on this, where they make mistakes, is that they get to that top page, they get in that top 3 local pack listings, and they say, "Okay, I'm here," and then they stop doing everything, and they sit on their heels. And as soon as you do that, you might have a month or two where you're going to be okay. But someone's going to be hungrier underneath you. Someone's going to be hungrier right behind you, and they're going to do all the same stuff you were doing, except maybe they're going to do it just a little bit more. And that's where you don't have to do as much, but you need to maintain. You need to then continue the momentum.
So
it's
this shop in, you said Las Vegas?
Yep.
So they went from not existing to, moving up the rankings. They got a $26,000 job. What other financial, they might not have shared the financial stuff with you, like, in coaching, when I work with people one-on-one, we talk about the financials, but they might not talk to their SEO guy about their, yeah, I get that. But what indicators, what signal? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the one big one that they have shared with me is that their close rate has gone sky high. They were closing about 20% of their jobs. They're now closing 45%. Why is that? Because of the trust factor. Because now one of the things we started with them right away is I said, you got to get your reviews up. As soon as you start getting more reviews, as soon as you start having that trust, and they became more omnipresent. Now, when people go to Facebook, they see them. When they go to Instagram, they see them. On Google, they see them. They become the more well-known, and it makes it much easier for them to close a deal because people trust that these guys are for real. They're not a fly-by-night.
Even though this all happened in 5 months.
Well, you got to keep in mind, when you're starting from next to nothing, right?
Right.
And you've got 2 or 3 reviews on Google, and
I say the same thing. It's like taking a fat kid to the gym. No offense to anybody who's never gone to the gym, but it doesn't matter what you do. Get on the bike, swim, stop eating badly. Like, no matter what you do, you're going to get gains, huge gains right away. Right. And then it gets a little more strategic as you go. Right. Yeah, right. I probably offended a bunch of people there, but it's all right.
Yeah, well, I'm probably one of them, but that's okay. I like to say this, and I go to the gym every day, or I go by the gym every day.
I go by one of the two.
Take a look at it, and then I look at the bar.
Yeah. There is, oh my God, what's the comedian's name? He's like, I go to the gym and I look at healthy people, and I'm like, what are you doing here? You're done.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that you're able to do it that fast, and then you speak with such confidence. And I know you were looking at numbers there because the way you're, for people that don't know, this is a YouTube video as well as an audio, but you have the data to support it.
I did.
And so how much time, let's go back to that question that started us on this path. How much time does that Las Vegas cabinet shop have to invest in guiding and directing you on a daily or monthly basis?
Very good. I would say an hour to 2 hours a month.
A month?
Because
an hour or two to a month.
Right. What we do with our clients is we do a strategy session every month, and we talk about what is it that is our target topic of the month. What is it that we did right last month? And then we talk about the leads that came in. What were the good leads that came in? What were the bad leads? Why were they bad? Why were they good? We then take all that information and then say, okay, all these type of campaigns drove in some bad leads. Let's get rid of these. These campaigns drove in good ones. How do we take that type of, how do we create more content that's similar to the content that drove in that stuff? But the difference between doing it completely yourself and then having an agency who's got writers on staff, an agency who's got link builders on staff, an agency who has all the tools at their disposal for press releases and all that, it does make a difference. But you know what? You're paying for that. And I make, I don't try and pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I mean, you're paying us instead of having an employee. If you had an employee who really knew what they were doing, you could do it.
Yeah, but
But
to your point, you're
they're
also
going to be a
competing.
dedicated employee.
But you're competing with IKEA, Rona, Home Depot, and
Exactly.
the other cabinet shop or remodeler or roofer
Yeah.
or HVAC company down
Yeah.
the street.
Or yeah, reborn cabinets or whoever, yeah, whoever it might be. Sure.
Yeah, interesting.
So
Wow. Okay, so there's a lot here.
there is. There's, just like anything else. I mean, there's so much to consider and so many avenues to take. And that's why I like to use the word roadmap because, what direction do you go? And there's no one right answer for anybody. Some people, they want to do it all in house. Some people, they want to do what they do best and they want to grow their business to a 7-figure and a multi-7-figure business. And they know that they need to bring in the right people. And it's, like I say, it's what feels right for you. And then you got to follow that.
Yeah. I know a lot of people listening are thinking, you know what, I don't need this. We're already busier than stink. I just can't find enough people, and so like I simply don't need it. Very interesting. Thank you very much. But I also have to say back to those people, if you're not actively thinking about where your customers are coming from, you don't know how to turn on or turn off the tap. And you've raised a really good point earlier. Like you're either renting your market or you're leasing or you're owning your market, when you paid ads versus SEO. And if I don't know where my business is coming from, I can't control it. I'm just really hoping, it's a hope and a prayer. I'm just wishing one day everything goes in cycles. One day the phones will get quiet. And that's not the day you want to go, uh-oh, Mike Goldstein said it was going to take 5-6 months to get back up. You might not have that 5 or 6 months. And if you don't have the right kind of customers who are always a hassle, it's not the greatest jobs, you're not profitable, you really have to get out there and say, you already said this, Mike, I want these kind of clients in that kind of neighborhood who need this kind of service package from me or a product or whatever I build, right?
Well, and one of the things I always ask my clients, and this, I think, Dom, this goes more to your world than mine, but I say, what's your close rate? Anyone who tells me they have a 70% close rate or an 80% close rate,
too high,
I ask them, what are you charging? Because you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
If you're
You've heard me say that before, right?
I think I have.
Yeah. I was worried when you said they have a 40% close rate, although that's in the range of, there's probably room for them to increase their prices, but they don't have to do that right away.
They need to increase their prices. We've had that conversation.
Oh, okay.
But when you're getting started, you've got that hunger. It's like, oh, I want as much work as I can bring in.
I get it.
But like I said, that's one thing, and the other is you got to look at your pipeline. And it's just because you've got 3 months of work backed up. If you don't do any marketing today, what happens in 3 months is now you're scrambling. And now you're not doing SEO work, you're doing paid ads, and now you're renting because you have to buy your way back in. So what happens to your gross margin?
Goes down. Yeah. Mike, this has been fantastic. If somebody wants to continue the conversation with you or find out more or just pick your brain, how do we find you in the big wide world?
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, anybody who wants to talk to me, I'm really easy to find. You can find us online at kitchenremodelingseo.com. You can find us on Facebook, on YouTube. You can give me a call at 339-645-9461 anytime. And I'm happy to talk to people. And, the first thing we always do is we just have what we call a discovery session or strategy session where we look at what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong, and are there any opportunities? We never talk sales. We just talk about, what's going right, what's going wrong. And if you want to have the conversation further than that, then we schedule something.
Sure.
But
you have a book too, and you held it up earlier. Do you mind hold it up and then so for people who can't see the screen, Mike, what's it called?
It's the Kitchen Remodeler's Guide to Local SEO in Google Maps, and you can find this on Amazon.com.
It would take me longer to type that than to phone the number you gave me. So people are probably going to see. I'm a very impatient man.
There's the code on the back.
Yeah, there you go. Scan the code, right? Scan the code. Mr. Mike Goldstein, I love having you on the show. I really like your stories. That 5 months is fast. Congratulations. That's good. That's got to feel good for you as well.
Definitely one of our favorite success stories for sure.
Yeah, and Vegas.
Vegas,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay. And people think Vegas is just the Strip, and it's not. There's a whole city there.
And I'm actually super excited because I'm actually going out to visit them in person in a month and a half, and it's going to be fantastic. I love meeting my clients in person because so much of what we do in the world now is virtual. It's great
Yeah,
to be able to shake a hand and.
I know. I agree. I'm actually doing something myself where I'm doing meeting people for wings and beer after work. In whatever town I'm traveling in, I've decided that now I'm going to host some sort of event, just casual, no expectations, right? So a live in-person event, which tragically, the acronym for live in person is LIP. And if we're meeting for chicken wings, I think I might call it the Chicken Lips Tour. What do you think? What do you think? Tell me, how does it sound? Is that a little too funny?
I think that it's something that's very memorable, and from one market to another,
Yeah.
it's all about remembering. Let me tell you, my first company I ever ran was called Animal 57 Productions, and when I told people the story, it had to. I'm not going to bore your audience with it, but it had to do with how Kentucky Fried Chicken bred their chickens, and whenever I would tell someone the story, they would never forget the name.
I'd probably never eat KFC again either.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure. I appreciate it as always. Anytime, Don.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Well. Mike Goldstein, thank you very much for joining us. Folks, I hope you got a lot out of that conversation about search engine optimization. And you probably caught my hint. Look, if you're not an expert at this, which you probably shouldn't, if you're listening to this show, you should not be an expert on websites or paid ads or search engine optimization. What you should be an expert at is the business of the construction or contracting business, which is what my show is about. Call Mike. Give him a call if you want to, even if you just want to research it. The best, and by the way, he and I spoke after I stopped hitting record, and he made an offer. If you guys want 5% off ongoing services, send a text message to him at 978-239-4949 and just use the keyword SEO. If you just send him that, his cell phone number is 978-239-4949, and just use the keyword, like just text him the word SEO. And then he's got an ongoing 5% discount on any ongoing services that you might get through him. So that doesn't mean you're going to buy from him if you contact him, but if you do, remind him that you had texted him. So just one more time, 978-239-4949, and send the keyword SEO. And then when you get on the phone, say, hey, Dom sent me. Remember, you use the keyword SEO, and then you guys can have a little laugh about that. He does work with a number of my clients already, my private one-on-one coaching clients. Those are introductions I've made in the past, and he's just rocking it with them, which is why I had him back on the show. So anyways, I hope you enjoy that. Hey, if you want to get coached, if you want to find out more about coaching, get in touch with me. Just go to the coaching website, which is 10xblt.com/apply. And 10xblt is spelled 10xblt.com/apply. It's pronounced 10x built. It means 10 times your building company, like 10 times what you're building. And that's the domain name we got. So that's what we're going with. But it's 10xblt.com/apply, or 10xbuilt.com/apply. And that's how you set an appointment with me and my team. Find out, is coaching right for you? What does coaching look like? How does it work? What can I expect? How much time does it take? How much does it cost? All those things. We just have that conversation when it's time to have that conversation. And I'm looking forward to doing it.